What is going on, YouTube? As you might be able to tell from the two controllers sitting here, we are going to be doing a video on what is the best PC gaming controller. Now, there are other options, namely the SCUF Instinct Pro, the Razer Wolverine, and there's also one, it's the Victress. It has the swappable modules. It's a great controller as well. But I am just talking in respects to the best on each console, being the Xbox Elite Series 2 and the PlayStation DualSense Edge. Which, like I said, in my opinion, these are both the best on their respective consoles, but which one is better for PC? The first one and the first criteria we are going to start with is going to be feel. How does the controller feel in your hand? And I have played extensively with both. I am not going to show myself playing with both, as I don't think that would be very entertaining for you guys. But just feeling how the controller feels in the hand. Yeah, you got to give it to Xbox. I'm sorry. The offset sticks are just so much better than PlayStation. The triggers are more concave on the Xbox One, so it feels more like a trigger pull if you were pulling an actual gun, I should say. I know YouTube doesn't like that word, but we're just going to use it for lack of a better word. Yeah, pretty much everything on this just feels a little bit better than the PlayStation. I will say the actual shape of the PlayStation controller does feel better. And then the triggers, and this is gonna be unpopular. I like the triggers on this one a little bit better. And partially just because they're adaptive, which we'll get onto later. But I do like the shape of this controller better than the Xbox. But ultimately because of the offset sticks, and the feel of the grip and everything is just so much better. Xbox is taking comfortability or feel. The next thing I want to do is one that is very obviously going to go to one, and that is features. This boy has one feature that the DualSense Edge does not, and you can see it right there on the back, and that is the 4 back paddles. The only other feature that this thing does not have that the DualSense Edge does is you can change the, I should say, tense style on the sticks and make them more tense or more loose. And you can change the D-pad. That is the only other, but that'll be more in customization. But as for features, there's a reason this sucker is $200. It has the touchpad. It has the adaptive triggers. So when you're doing certain things, the triggers will actually resist you, which is wonderful. It does have the microphone. It does have the speakers. And then the big thing, and I will touch on this a little bit more later, but you all may know about it. You're probably wondering, what is he doing? He's taking apart the controller. Well, if you haven't seen it, these joysticks are removable. You can swap them out in case you get drift. I would have liked, and I would have said for sure, to pick this controller if they just used Hall effects on it. But adding the ability to swap out those sticks, yeah, it's winning. There's also, and I do want to kind of talk about it. I apologize, these back paddles are a little bit harder to remove. I'm probably not even going to be able to get them out. You can swap them out for buttons. You can have little tiny back buttons. I always just preferred the paddles to the buttons. And then the other feature it has that the Xbox One does not is you can lock the cord so it won't rip out, which I really like. Another feature I almost forgot to mention about the Xbox One is there is a feature with the case that would almost put it ahead, aside from the fact that the controller doesn't have much innovation, and that I should have really had both of these ready to go. That is going to be this. This is the charging dock. It actually goes inside the case, so you can charge the controller in the case very comfortably. Yeah, it's definitely not enough to put it over PlayStation. So features goes to the DualSense Edge 100%. The next thing is going to be build quality. And they are very similar. Both have rubberized grips. PlayStation has a little bit less of a rubberized grip, as there's only just the rubberized grip on the bottom here. You can kind of see it there. That is the only place it has rubber. All of the rest of the shell, and let me try to get it a bit more in frame there. All of the rest of the shell is plastic. The triggers are plastic. And pretty much everything throughout this controller is plastic. Then we go to Xbox. The rubberized grips wrap all the way around to the front. The only place that you could even say is plastic isn't. This is a full metal build. The triggers back here. Let me see if I can get a piece of metal here. That's metal. The whole controller is built with metal. And that really puts it apart. This thing is built entirely with metal in mind. This thing is entirely plastic. You can also feel that in the weight. This controller right here is a multitude heavier than this controller. So in build quality for the controller, it's going to Xbox 100%. And in the case, this is not something that most people would mention. In the case department, which one is built better? Yeah, it's going to Xbox. Xbox gives you a nice cloth case. It's heavy. It's durable. It's built to protect that controller at all costs. This is hard plastic. It's hard plastic. It holds everything very well. It has a little Velcro on the back so you can charge it. But it's plastic. And for that, build quality, Xbox is taking it 100% of the time. So if you're keeping score, that is a 1-to-2 ratio. So the next and final thing. Actually, we should probably do one more thing, and that is I said I would do it earlier, and I can't remember it off the top of my head. But I think we're just going to skip to the end because you guys can see where this is headed. Price. So pricing on both of these controllers is actually really competitive compared to other controllers, and this is why I say they are the best, respectively, in their departments. With this controller being priced at $180, which that is if you get the carrying case and everything else. If you're just buying the core controller, I believe you can get these for around $80 to $100, which is very, very nice. I know usually it's about $130, but they've been dropping them like crazy. And then this is priced at $200 with no core option. So if you are going to pick one up based off of price, yeah, it's going to the Xbox 100% of the time. Now for the last thing. And I know I said price would be the last thing, but I lied. We're going over one more thing, and that is longevity. And this is going to make or break, especially if you're using this for PC. Based off of build quality and I guess strength and structural integrity, it would have to go to the Xbox. There's one reason that it's not, and that is the swappable sticks. I have been using this controller for 3 years. I have not noticed stick drift. I've been using it off and on for 3 years. I used it very religiously back when I had an Xbox, and I still do. And I used it for about a year before I got my PC. I used it for another year or two, and then I don't really use it much anymore. That's why I say the time frame of 3 years. I've actually had it for about 5. And here's the thing. I have not noticed much stick drift. And I did at one point, I think it was about a year ago, start to notice stick drift, and it was very difficult to swap out these joysticks. I had to go to Xbox and ask them for replacement parts, and then I had to replace them myself. All in all, it was about $40 to $50, and it was very, very difficult. On the other hand, the DualSense Edge, which I will say I only recently got. Like I mentioned earlier with one of the features, you can just pop these joysticks out and pop new ones in. For your average consumer, that is going to be huge in longevity. You'll be able to use this controller for years and years and years without noticing drift, without noticing a lack of... Like I said, there is an issue with the build quality compared to this one, but it's not enough to give Xbox the win in longevity. It's going to PlayStation. Now, if you've been keeping score, Xbox is ahead by 1 point, but PlayStation does have some big advantages with the features and with the longevity. So which one do I think you should pick up? Or which one should I say is the best for PC gaming? Well, if it was which is the best in their respective zones, which one is best if you were buying for an Xbox? Or which one is best if you were buying for a PlayStation? Well, I'd say the one that is most important if you are buying for their respective consoles, it's going to be the Xbox. And the reason I say that is with the DualSense Edge. If you put it next to a DualSense, there's one feature that you get. There's only one that you get on this controller that you do not get on this. And that is the swappable sticks. Or there are 3, I should say. There are 3. That are present on this, that are not present on this. Swappable thumbsticks, back paddles, and trigger stops. Other than that, it is just a better built controller. Whereas on the Xbox side, This thing was so good that they sold a core version without any of the extras. You can just buy the controller because it just feels that good. You have the trigger stops, same as this, but the big things is that puts it over the Xbox One is the customizability, the back paddles, the build quality, the customizable profiles. This thing is better for Xbox than this is for PlayStation. I'm just saying it now. And that's just because most of the features on that one are, in fact, present on this. So for the price, I just can't justify it. Now, the big question, which one is better for PC gaming? And drum roll, please. It's going to Xbox. And the only reason I say this is it is very, very hard to set up features like this touchpad for PlayStation controllers on the PC. It's pretty hard to set up this touchpad. It is pretty hard to set up your customizable profiles, whereas Xbox, they're just already loaded. The adaptive triggers. I have not found a game yet on PC. Granted, I haven't played any Sony games on PC. It might be different. You might be able to use the adaptive triggers. I'm not sure. But I have not found a game where those adaptive triggers work on PC for this controller. And for that, it is going to the Xbox Elite Series 2 for the best controller to buy for PC. And as I mentioned before, there are other great controllers, but I think based off of price, based off of features, and based off of build quality, this is the best PC gaming controller. Until next time, that's going to be it from me. Aegon out.